approaching 9 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's Friday, October 10th. This is the Governing Board Workshop meeting. And for those able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I'm Rudy Grum, your Vice President. I'll be acting as chair for this meeting today. We have established quorum. We have 8 of our 9 directors present in person, and our president, Christine Novello, is online on Zoom. Would you please say good morning, Christine?
Yes, good morning, community, and good morning, fellow board. Great to be here.
Okay, thank you very much. Having established quorum, we'll get right into some of our business. First thing is the meeting procedures. The governing board and its committees conduct all their meetings in compliance with the Arizona Planned Community Association open meeting laws per Arizona Revised Statutes 33-1804 and in concert with the Rec Center's bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order will also be followed in all meetings as appropriate, consistent with bylaw 3.07 and standing rules 2 and 3. Also, this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube and it's being recorded. And for those that may have cell phones, could we please turn them off and take them off the table to prevent any interference with the microphones? Thank you very much. Moving on to our first item of business, we have approval of minutes 2.0. Our last workshop was on September 12th. The meeting minutes were posted well over a week ago on our hub. Has everyone had a chance to read them? And if there are any comments, changes, additions, corrections? Seeing none, they will stand posted as written. Thank you very much. Our first item of business is 3.01, the pool deck update, and this will be addressed by our CFO, Cliff Swan.
Good morning, Governing Board. I just wanted to give an update on the pool deck. We recently closed the pool for some maintenance last month in September. And in that process, we did some maintenance on the tile and did some salt blasting on that. We're really happy with the results. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see it. It looks really good. We also, in that period of time, in that closure, had our pool deck vendor come out and do some warranty work on the pool deck itself. And they came out and performed that work, and we, to be honest and completely frank, we weren't happy with the results of the warranty work that was done. So we're in discussions with them now to hold their feet to the fire on the warranty work. There's some quality workmanship issues there, and we know that. But the pool is functioning, it's open, and it'll be an ongoing thing that we'll work with that vendor and get the pool back up to the standards that our residents expect of Sun City West.
Thank you, Mr. Swan. All the directors attended a walkthrough.
Oh, R.H. Johnson Pool, sorry.
Okay, R.H. Johnson Pool.
I'm sorry.
We did a walkthrough earlier in the week, and are there any additional questions or comments from any of the directors about what we're doing and what our plans are?
I just had one question. I don't know if you know the answer. Maybe Cliff can bring it to the next meeting. When it comes to the fountains, even though we salt blasted that and the improvement was dramatic, there is some concern that that's starting to age, and is that on our repair and replace for our reserve study?
Great question. Yes, that is on our reserve study on schedule. I'm not sure exactly what the date is on that. That was installed in 2018. 17. So I can go back and look at that. I would say it's probably not in the next couple of years, but we assess that after the cleaning, and we'll take a look at that and see how the grout's doing. I will say it would probably, we're going to look at potentially a different color, maybe a lighter color that would maybe mask some of that calcium. But in talking with Russ and being here for 4 years myself, also owning a pool at my house, the water is very hard, and there are a lot of minerals in that, and it does over time collect that calcium and different mineral deposits. But it is in the reserve study.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Swan. Any questions from people in the audience? If so, please come to the microphone. Okay, seeing none, do we have any comments or questions online? Okay. We will then move to our next item of business, 3.02. Chartered Clubs Committee recommendation. We've got an offer to host a large-scale tennis tournament here, so I'll turn this over to our Chartered Clubs Committee Chair, Director Nick Turner.
Thank you. Yes, this is a request from the tennis club to host a tournament which is organized by the USTA. If normally, when a clubs host a tournament or a special event, that's just something which is approved internally through recreation manager. In this particular case, the tournament is not actually being organized and run by the club. The tournament will be organized and run by the USTA. And because of that, they need to come for governing board approval. We heard about this at the Chartered Clubs meeting, our last meeting, and the Chartered Clubs Committee is actually bringing this forward with a recommendation that the governing board approve. And I've asked Joel Pajkowski, the representative of the tennis club, whose point for on the organisation of the tournament, to come and give the same presentation that he gave to Chartered Clubs, which will have the background here for the board and the community. So I'll hand it over to Joel.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nick. Good. Thank you, Governing Board. Appreciate the opportunity to come in front of you and present this proposal. Okay. I'm using the same presentation that I used at the Chartered Club Committee. Why are we here? Okay, the tennis club, Sun City West Tennis Club, has asked the Chartered Club Committee, and they approved unanimously, so I'm here in front of the Governing Board, that the Southwest region of the United States Tennis Association be allowed to hold a sectional tennis tournament here at our courts. Okay, sectional means people coming from a number of different states. Okay. Point number two, this is very similar to the lawn bowling tournament that has been held here for a number of years. Extremely similar, just a different sport. Okay. What caused this? As some of you may know, every year the tennis club holds their Swing into Spring Senior Charity Tennis Tournament, which raises funds for two organizations here, the Posse and the Prides. What we did for the first time is we invited representatives from the Southwest region of the USTA to come out, put up a pop-up booth tent, recruit new members, and mostly see our facility. Several days after that tournament was over, we were approached by them, and bottom line, they said, "You have such an awesome facility here that we would love to ask if we would be able to hold a sectional tournament." Okay, so that's what brings us to this point here. You'll see potential dates here. The USTA, they're already planned out for 2006, so we're talking about 2007. 2027, excuse me. Okay, just very briefly here, when I did this to the Charter Clubs Committee, we had a representative from the Southwest region here. The only point I want to bring to the governing board here is that tennis is a very popular sport. It is increasing its percentage of people playing it. The USTA has a plan. You'll see on there 35 by 35. They estimate there's 27 million people playing tennis of some sort in the United States right now. They've got plans in place and programs that they want to reach 35 by 35. So Just simple fact being that tennis is on the growth. As you can see here on the bottom, the Southwest region, they hold 43 tournaments annually in their region, and 16 of those tournaments right here in the Phoenix area. Okay. Responsibilities for everybody involved. Okay, starting on top, the USTA Southwest region, basically they do everything. They plan and promote the tournament. They manage it, all of the registration they take care of. They take care of tournament hospitality and the daily operations of the tournament matches. These tournaments are very similar to Swing in the Spring 3-day tournament, okay? One other bullet point that I did not put on, but I just want to mention, as I did in the Charter Clubs Committee, also the USTA has taken care of all of the insurance liability for the people who are coming here. They presented it to us, and it passed muster with our insurance company. Okay, tennis club responsibilities. We had the board approve it, and we had our club membership approve it. Okay. Only other point on there, if needed, and the USTA says we really don't need any volunteers, but if needed, the club is ready to provide volunteers to help, with this tournament. RCSCW responsibilities. Two kind of simple ones, just make sure the courts are clean before the tournament starts, which is common practice on a court cleaning schedule. And we might need some additional tables, chairs, and garbage cans. Why should we do this? I know you're asking yourselves. Why should we do this? Number one, positive exposure for Sun City West and RCSCW. I would submit to everybody that when you get a major sports organization that wants to hold a function at your facility, it is a feather in your cap, and you should be looked upon very highly on that. Other communities, when they look at that, and other organizations, when they're looking to do things and they see that a community holds an event such like this, puts us in very good standing. Generate local hospitality, tourism revenue. Okay, these are people coming in from out of state. There is some revenue for RCSCW. The USTA does pay complexes to host their sectional tournaments. They do it on a per person participating and per game, but estimated somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000. Okay. Exposure to potential Sun City West home buyers. I know just from the, and I'm going to go back to the lawn bowling tournament, there were people who came here to participate, saw what a lovely community it is, and, looking at homes, or some actually moved here. Okay? The ability to host this due to the quality of the complex that we have. I'm sure some of you have seen it, but if you haven't, it is one of the absolute best tennis facilities in the West Valley. It is a great event for Sun City West and surrounding communities to see. People from the surrounding communities can come and watch it. They're going to be here. They're going to bring additional revenue into Sun City West. Also, very simply, for the growth of the Sun City West Tennis Club and the USTA in general. Okay, so with that, I'm asking on behalf of the tennis club that the governing board, look at this seriously and to continue to be a forward-thinking community and to show the rest of the world this beautiful complex that we have here. Okay, that's it. Are there any questions?
Okay, Mr. Piaskowski, thank you very much. Board, some of us sat through the presentation the other day. Are there any additional questions? Please.
Thank you for your time today and for the presentation. I do have a couple of questions and then potentially a comment. Mm-hmm. What is the demographic profile of the folks who would be coming here to play? Are they in the age group that would buy here? Is it a wider age group? And also geographically, I know you said it covers the Southwest, but since they host so many tournaments, will most of the folks attending be from within the Metro Phoenix area, or will they be from multiple states?
Okay, so two parts, Alan. What the USTA has said to us in the Charter Club Committee meeting is that they want this tournament to be a senior tournament, so it will be people age 55 and up that will be coming to play in the tournament. So our prime demographic, okay? The amount of people from the states that they're coming from, I mean, I don't know the mix on that, but some will be coming from, you know, New Mexico, some from Texas.
Okay.
So,
Great, thank you.
okay.
Any other questions or comments? Anyone in the audience? Questions or comments for Mr. Piakowski?
I have a quick one, if I may, Director Grom.
Please go ahead.
So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Piaskowski, Joel, great presentations. This is very exciting. We've been watching this and we saw the benefits that the Lawn Bowls has brought to us. So I'm excited to hear about this potential. I presume that this is the case, and I think it was discussed a little bit at Charter Clubs, but can you tell the community and the rest of us how you will work together with staff in terms of coordinating the needs and ensuring that all the ancillary needs are taken care of. Staff has been greatly supportive of Lawn Bowls. Just wanted to know how you anticipate that working.
Okay, that's a question for me, Christine?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
How's
Okay.
the tennis club? Is the tennis club
Sure.
working? Will you work together with our staff? Presume you will. Sort of anticipating some of those needs and making sure that everything is coordinated.
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's just two major key areas. One is to make sure that the courts are clean, okay? We do that on a weekly and daily basis now with Neil and the new addition of Mike. So we would just work with them, you know, prior to the tournament starting, making sure that, you know, we have enough extra garbage cans, you know, some chairs set up. So very simply, we would work with them as we work with them when our club holds, you know, any tournaments of any time, whether they be, you know, social tournaments or having other communities come in. So we would work with them on a daily basis.
Fabulous. And since Cliff's here representing Stephen and staff, Cliff, on behalf of staff, any questions or concerns that you guys see for this?
Thank you. No concerns. I mean, we'd work closely together. We'd get the operations team and obviously Sabrina and her team communicating with Casey as well, and work with the club. But no, we shouldn't have any issues. We could work through any operational things that need to happen to make this happen.
Thank you, and thanks, Vice President Grom. My questions have been answered.
So I wanted to let folks ask questions before I made a comment. I think these types of events are fantastic opportunities for our community, and I think a lot of you share that. And I look at the stuff the Pickleball Club has done, the stuff the ARC Auto Restoration Club has done with the auto shows and things like that. And anytime we can bring any prospective buyers into the community, it's a fantastic opportunity for us. What I would like to encourage us, and I'm happy to volunteer to work with staff on this, is I think we can do a better job of leveraging these opportunities to get information out to prospective buyers about Sun City West. I think of all the number of people, and you pointed out in your presentation, who come here like to the lawn bowling, and they go, wow, this is really cool, and this is a really great community. I'd love to learn more. So I'd like to encourage us to come up with a way of, whether it's a table there or somebody there for some portion of the time, you know, to simply give out information about Sun City West as a community. And I know that that's technically not necessarily within the purview of our CSCW, but it certainly fits within the purview of the board, because part of our objective is the longevity and the preservation of the future of this community. So I would encourage us to also think about that opportunity along with this, not just for this event, but other events like this going forward.
I have a question. You mentioned, I believe it was Neil and Mike.
Yes.
Are they like, I'm not familiar with them, are they like Sabrina and Casey, or are they part of your tennis club, or?
No, Neil and Mike are the two facilities staff
Okay.
that take care of the tennis courts
Okay.
on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing no one in the audience, no one online, thank you.
Great, thank you.
We do have some, please. Okay, we have two. Please state name and rec card number. Thank you.
Good morning. Lynn Kellis, 129120. My question is just brief. I was wondering if there is going to be, are there going to be volunteers from the tennis club themselves helping out with this event, or are we going to have Sun City West volunteers doing that, helping out? Thank you.
Tom Jones, 110390. Might mention that PORA has the Welcome Center, and I believe they would be very willing to present Sun City West to this organization and during the tournament and provide materials that would highlight Sun City West. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm not too sure, but usually when you play in a tournament, you get like a goodie bag and that kind of stuff. So that's another way we could put in our little brochure and talk to the USTA and say, hey, can you put this in?
Okay, having heard a very complete presentation, I think, that covers everything that they intend to do, do I have consensus to move this forward to our next regular governing board meeting for a vote? I have consensus. It'll be on the agenda. Thank you. Our next topic, 3.03, is a pretty good-sized topic. At the start of this year, President Novello gave tasks to a number of directors in addition to the various committees which always review policies on an annual basis. And the goal here was to take a look at our bylaws, which the last time we had a big review of the bylaws was back in 2020. And over that last 5 years, there's been state statute changes and things that could have effect on our bylaws, plus the fact that our policies in some cases have a little inconsistency in their wording. So this is kind of a grand scale look at all of our policies, not just the standing committee policies, plus our bylaws. So a couple of weeks ago, President Novello hosted a kind of a preliminary meeting with Director Forsey, Director Turner, and myself, and we kind of put our heads together to look at how do we want to proceed forward with doing this. This would be a big task. This would not be something you just do overnight because it involves state statute, it involves our bylaws, and it would involve the residents of this community. So part of that was we discussed, as you'll see on topic 3.04, if we do something of this large scale, we will need to have an attorney involved. And if we decide, we would probably go forward with an RFP to solicit the best firm that does this kind of work, not just use our own attorney. So right now, things are a bit preliminary, but for those of you that are familiar with things like policies and bylaws, you know a lot is involved, and as we'll discuss later, we're going to have a couple of our policies up for review today. So any questions from anyone on the board at this time as to what we're doing? Or President Novello, any comments from you?
Yes, thanks so much, Director Grom. You covered it really well. Just additional information would be on the bylaws. There are a few sections specifically pertaining to the governing board election process that last year's elections committee already brought to the board's attention would need some update to reflect current practice and current law. So I believe, and the directors, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but our collective recommendation at that point was to proceed forward with having our attorneys take a look at those red line changes just to ensure that we can get those election bylaws updated to reflect current law and policy. And where necessary, we'll take the necessary steps to ensure our community is aware of those changes and are in support of those changes. It takes a little while to make bylaw changes, so that was something that we wanted to ensure. We knew we wanted to proceed forward with those, so we will proceed forward on the bylaw side with those. And we did, as you said, put our heads together in terms of what we do as a next step on policies. But we can expect as a board to see some feedback from our legal team on bylaws, because we do know that our current legal team is there for us, and they'll review the proposed changes to those bylaws and ensure that we are in alignment. So we'll reach out to them, provided there are no concerns from the rest of the board. We'll reach out to them and ensure that those recommended changes, they're not huge sweeping changes, but still important changes to our bylaws, are incorporated and available for the board to take a look at as early as possible in November.
Thank you, President Novello. Director Schlimmer.
Just one very quick question. You mentioned going potentially out to bid to various firms. I'm assuming we would encourage also our current legal firm to also be a bidder, since they know our history. I'm not advocating for them.
Yeah, Alan, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's Christine here. I'm sorry, President Novello. We'll cover that more specifically in 3.04, but absolutely, that was something that we discussed as well.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to just add on to that the fact that to go through this entire process, for those that are interested, Section 9.2 of our bylaws is about 2 pages long, and it lays out what's involved in amending your bylaws. So there's nothing simple in this process, but part of it is to determine what we want to do, and then we have to get owner buy-in before we proceed too far along, because you don't want to spend your money on legal and then take it to a membership vote and have it get turned down. So as this all develops, it'll all be kind of brought forward, and part of that is, like we said, in 3.04, we will, once we decide what we want to do, then we can put it together in an RFP and go out to the various attorneys to complete this. Pardon me?
Yeah, we'll talk about the policies a little separately. Yeah, because right now we're on agenda item 3.03, which is really just the overall bylaws update that we're going through, just to ensure that we are, those general, we call them our C-L&M policies. They're the committee policies, the overall membership policies, and our overall policies, to make sure that those are clear and being reviewed. So we've all noted that there are a few areas that are in need of some clarification, and that those volunteers that came forward to work with me will work on those and get them in front of the policy changes, are something that is in our purview as a board. So that's something that we will, of course, be bringing forward as soon as we feel comfortable. But we'll get to the overall policy revision when we get to item 3.04.
Director Turner.
Just to give everybody an example of the complexity that's involved here, I was given one group of bylaws to have a look at. So I read those bylaws, and that was a group on committees. And so I thought I'd cross-check those against the policies on committees, and found quite a few, if you like, clarifications. There aren't that many discrepancies or contradictions, but there's a lot of things that could do with clarifying. And of course, then when you start looking at the policies on committees, there are then standing rules associated with meetings and things like that the committees have, and you start looking at the standing rules, and you discover one or two other areas which probably need clarification or may have some discrepancies. And then as you're going through that work on the policies and so on about committees, you then end up getting dragged into some of the committee-specific policies because, for example, on the capital recommendations that come in from committees, there's a policy which is run by the finance, managed by the Budget Finance Committee that covers that. There's also policies by the Properties Committee that cover that process. So by simply reviewing the bylaws for committees, I had myself about 12 hours work, just going through them, cross-checking and verifying. And then if you multiply that by 3 or 4 for the amount of effort that might be needed to tidy those up and edit them, you get an example of the scale of the issue here, because I don't know when this organization last reviewed all of the bylaws and policies in total. Individual committees and individuals have looked at individual parts of it, but I don't know that anybody's taken a holistic view across the whole thing. And it's a lot of work. And it needs a lot of understanding of how things work, how we do things, because we do things in some ways which the policies or bylaws suggest we should be doing them another way. So you have to correct to meet what we do or change what we do to meet the policies. And there's quite a lot of that in there. Small, little things, not necessarily important or earth-shattering, but there's a lot of that kind of stuff that needs to be tidied up.
It is incredible, Christine here again. It's incredible when you take that end-to-end view. I just want to assure everybody on the board and the residents who are listening now and later that it's not as if these are never looked at, but we're all volunteers on the board, and this is an important task. I'm not trying to throw our efforts awry, and I'm not trying to say that any of the work was done poorly in the past. It's just very time consuming, as Director Turner was just outlining, very time consuming to go through this end to end. And we feel that it's something that warrants some more attention. So again, we'll get to the recommendation in a moment when we get to that agenda point. But unless we're already there, Director Grom, I'm just saying that the first item, which was 3.03, was just an update on what we're currently doing to look at our bylaws. We've looked at those, and our goal on the bylaws review, because it is something that's so important to our community, we will endeavor to ensure our policies are in alignment first. We did not uncover anything yet outside of elections that warrants a bylaw content update. It's not to say that it won't occur, but those are the things that we knew we needed to tackle. So we did recommend that, and we're going to continue to look at a few of the other items as Director Turner was outlining, and as Director Grom was mentioning as well. We've seen some inconsistencies in terms of between and across some of these. So we do want to correct those, and we need to identify how to tackle that next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, President Novello. And Director Turner, thanks for a great lead in to 3.04. You touched on the fact that many of our policies do need a bit of changing in certain areas, because the big thing about policies is they have to be compliant with the superior rules above them, such as bylaws and our CC&Rs. So once we get that whole list of things put together, it will all be reviewed by legal to ensure that our policies are legitimate in how we enforce them, because as we know, then it's up to for certain policies, it's up to our CC&R department. They do the enforcement. So once that's all put together, we'll go ahead and put together a request for proposal and get that taken care of, but this is just a long process. So that pretty much wraps up 3.03 and 3.04. 3.05, here we have a policy revision, policy MO1, and I will let our CFO, Mr. Cliff Swan, address that.
Okay, thank you. So membership activity cards and facility use. The reason this request for policy change has come from operations is that we have rules here for membership and membership activity cards. And one of the rules, or one of the guiding rules, is that to obtain a membership activity card, you have to have what's called an age qualifier in the residence. So someone within the residence, living within the residence, needs to be 55 or older. Now, it's always implied that that person who's living in the residence is a card-holding member, not just living in the residence, but actually is an associate, for example, or an owner member. Well, the policy doesn't explicitly say that. It just says that someone must be living in the residence that is of age, or an age qualifier. So we're making the change to this policy to explicitly state that not only do they have to be 55 or older, not only do they have to live in the residence, but they also have to be a dues-paying member, not just a resident. And so that's what we're trying to do to accomplish with this policy change.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Swan. Director Piaskowski.
Question. So right now, I'm just making sure our audience understands this. So right now, we can have a 55 plus live in the house, and you can have an underage that owns the home. But because the 55 plus lives in the house, they can get an associate. So now what we're trying to do is make sure that that 55 plus, because they're qualifying the underaged person that's in that home to be living there, correct?
Yes.
Right. So we're just saying, hey, if you're going to live there, you got to pay dues, and they'll just become an associate member. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, because they're not on the deed. Okay, just making sure everyone's on the same page.
Mr. Director Schlemmer.
Thank you. Do we have a sense of how big of a problem this is? That where we have a underage owner getting access, but not along with an of-age cardholder?
Yeah, I would say that this isn't a rampant problem, but it is something we come across every now and then when in our membership office. Yeah, and it's just a hole we need to close, a loophole we need to close.
Okay,
I have one more question, and I don't know this. So number 2, it says they are surviving spouse. So if my husband passed away and I was under 55, I would still be able to get a rec card? Is that
Yes.
how that's read? Okay.
Yes.
Just making, okay.
okay, thank you very much for the questions. Anyone in the audience have questions about this proposed change? Okay, seeing no one and no comments online. President Novello, anything to add?
No, sir. Seems clear to me. Close the loophole.
I will say Joel's a little nervous up there now.
Okay, having discussed this, with no additional questions or comments, this change is pretty straightforward in this policy. Do I have consensus to move this to the next regular governing board meeting for a vote? Seeing head nods, this will be added to our agenda for the next meeting. Thank you very much. Moving on to policy MO2. Again, our CFO, Mr. Swan.
Okay. We know that suspensions of membership is a sensitive subject, but I want to assure everyone the reason for the change in this policy is to help clarify the practice of the suspension process that we go through. We're not making wholesale changes here. What we're doing is trying to clean this policy up so that it's very clear as to what the rights are of the member, and what the rights are of the governing board, and what the rights are of the general manager. So that's the purpose for the change in this policy. And essentially what we're saying is that the general manager has the authority to suspend a member for conduct, violation of policies, or conduct against policy towards other owner members or staff. And the amount of time that a general manager could suspend someone is for a maximum of 60 days. Now, I think since I've been here for the last 4 years, we may do 2, maybe 3 of these in a year. But what this does is it allows the general manager to work directly with the member to address the issue without having to go into a public setting and take care of the issue right then and there, and everybody can move on after that suspension has been handed out. But it also gives the member an opportunity to appeal that to the governing board if they feel like that the general manager is not correct or is out of bounds. So that this policy calls out that whole process, clarifies that process, and there is no change as far as what the owner member can do as far as appealing the process. So the purpose of this change is really to clarify what we do in practice and make sure it's very clear what everyone's rights and what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Swan. With this great number of changes, do we have questions or comments?
I have one.
Director?
I was just looking at the draft. It strikes me that there might be duplication in 2.4 and 3.5. Is that a duplication, or does that apply to Section 2 and Section 3 in some way?
So 2.4 and what?
And 3.5. It's the same wording in 2 places.
Yeah, one is just in an appeal process, but yeah, it could be implied, but it's just calling out during the resident hearing or during the appeals process. But yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a duplication.
Okay.
We could probably strike one of those.
Director Piaskowski.
Under 2.2, it says the general manager and then or designee. Who is that person? It's in 2.2 and also in 2.3. Who is that person?
So he may ask his secretary to send an email to the governing board stating that the suspension is taking place. So he may designate someone to notify the governing board. That's what that means. So he would
I
designate.
guess I would like
someone.
that to be spelled out, because it could be, he could decide that maybe, I believe last year he had our HR director take care of some of the suspensions and do some things. So I just think that needs to have general manager or his executive secretary, if that's what that's supposed to be, or a person, because right now it doesn't have any title attached to it.
Yeah, it simply is the notification to the governing board. It's not the decision to do it. It's just he may say, hey, send Christine, President Novello, an email with these attachments stating that this person. So he may ask Karen to do it as well. He may ask. That's all. It's not the decision to suspend someone. It's just he may designate someone to notify the governing board. Yeah.
No, that actually, 2.2.
2.2.
is the notification to the person to be suspended.
Well, yeah. And 2.3 is, I was looking at the governing board, sorry.
Okay.
I was looking at 2.3, but both. Either one, the suspension that takes place, or it's just a notification of the suspension. Yeah, that's all. It's not the decision to suspend.
Any additional questions or comments from any of the directors? Anyone in the audience? This is what affects our owners, so any comments, questions, concerns about what the changes are that we're making? Any, President Novello, any
Direct-
additional comments?
Yeah, quick comment. Thank you, Director Grum. Well, perhaps we do have some other, I'm not sure, we may have a resident question, but the other thing, just for from a process standpoint, assuming once we get to a point where we as a board are willing to recommend that this move forward, our, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, Cliff, but I don't believe our legal counsel has yet taken a look at this because again, it would, the staff wanted to ensure that the board was in general agreement with the content and with the intention before spending the money on a legal review. So some of the things, example, Director Turner had noted something that's potentially redundant. That's something that we could certainly have we could rectify that while legal is taking a look at that. And something like the notification and so forth, if there's a concern about member rights, that would come out when the legal counsel reviews. Just wanted to ensure that the board is aware that this is still pending council review. Thank you.
Thank you, President Novello. We have one comment online.
It may have been already answered, but Gary Bach is asking if the policy of MO2 and the policy MO1 need to be reviewed by legal.
We have a resident with a few questions or comments.
And
Real
Director
quick,
Forsey, yeah, Director Forsey, you're exactly right. I did just cover that, but just to be absolutely certain, all our policies will be reviewed by legal before they're actually voted upon or enacted. So, so for that resident who asked, this will be reviewed before the governing board actually does take any vote. Thank you.
Lynn Kellis?
Director Grom, I just want to clarify. MO1 was reviewed by legal. MO2 was not. So MO1 is reviewed, the membership activity card. MO2 has not been reviewed yet.
Hi. Lynn Kellis, 129120. I just want to say I appreciate you tightening this up a little bit. There have been instances where people really needed to be reprimanded, and it was pretty willy-nilly and hard to lay down the line because the way this has been written in the past. So I applaud you and thank you for doing so.
Okay, thank you very much. With no additional comments or questions, is everyone relatively satisfied that in its current form, we should, I have a okay, for the moment, here's what we'll do. If everyone's satisfied that this is in a good enough state, I would like to get consensus to move this to legal, and that whatever legal recommends, and we'll make note that we've got a duplication of a paragraph in there, and if it needs to stay, it stays. If not, legal will recommend to take it out. And once legal reviews this and comes back to us, then we will move it forward at a governing board meeting for a vote. Do I have consensus to do that? Okay, thank you very much. Let's see, 3.07, the capital improvement projects. This is basically our reserves. President Novello is listed here to talk about this. I know there are a couple of slides. I don't know if you intend to talk about this, or is Mr. Swan going to address this, or how do you want to do that?
Probably tag team with Mr. Swan, if that's okay with him. This is just a real quick overview, and our CFO had, of course, and staff and our treasurer Director Becknell had taken a look at this too. Just wanted to make sure that our community and the rest of the board is aware of where we are. There's so many, we've made a few changes over the past few years in terms of how we conduct some of the this part of our procedures, for lack of a better phrase. Director Turner had mentioned we have policies that spell out some of the really larger items that have to do with the overall budget, our financial plan, including both capital and operating budget, will of course must be approved by the end of May 2026. This would be for our next fiscal year. But leading up to that, this is sort of a quick overview, or intended to be a quick overview of where we are now. So right now, in the next few months, we're really just putting together all kinds of inputs, making sure that anything that would need to be included in that capital budget is identified. There are lots of sources for that. And little acronyms on here include that CIP, or the Capital Improvement Process or Requests. Several committees are looking at one request that was put forward for a renovation from our Automobile Restoration Club, ARC. So they're looking at that request. We also have regular repair and request items. That's R&R. That's just part of our regular process. And again, our Properties Committee takes the lead on looking at most of the repair and request, but they invite along other committees like Finance and Chartered Clubs as well, so that various committees are aware of all the requests that could be coming in for potential review. Golf is looking at some potential capital needs as well. Sports Pavilion also looks at some potential capital needs. Anything else that anyone on the board or any committee member, basically we're at a point now where we're collecting all the possible needs for a capital project or repair and request going into our next fiscal year. Those are the items that we're reviewing now and by the start of December. So as our various committees are doing walkthroughs and providing recommendations, including this ARC proposal that we've heard quite a bit about in the first few months of the year. This is not an approval of the item by any means. It's literally just putting it on the list so that our team will then, starting in December, complete the analysis and make sure that all the cost estimates can be completed. So that happens, all that, if you will, magic happens in December and the start of January. And you move over to the next item where it says committees review and identify. Starting in January, mid-January or so, for capital items, each of our committees and the governing board will then see a revised list. That list will include all the items for potential capital review, and it will include cost estimates. So in this period of time, there's a lot of analysis happening, but the actual cost estimates don't come along with those until sometime starting in January. Starting in then January to March, there's a lot of analysis and back and forth. All of our committees will be looking at these items, pushing back on, if necessary, asking questions of the staff to ensure that everybody understands what's included. The culmination there is by the end of March, each committee will make a recommendation to the governing board regarding these capital items. The recommendations are, basically it's a group recommendation where we would make a group approval consideration for capital. So each committee will identify what items in this list warrant special review, additional review, discussion by the governing board. It doesn't mean that they're in or out of the budget. It just means they warrant some special review and an independent vote. So that happens by the end of March, the start of April. So this governing board starts looking in earnest at those recommendations and all the capital items in terms of potential approval by spring of next year. So all the fun really begins. And I say that with a big smile for all of us, but the in-depth analysis and questioning and so forth really kicks off after the holiday period. So starting in January and February. So I wanted to give everyone just a quick overview of the capital process. And then if you go to the next slide for us, it's usually Terry. This just spells out for all of us a little bit more details of dates. So again, we're defining the capital budget items really without detailed estimates by December 1st, or as close to that as we can get. And then we present that the team will come back and present the consolidated capital items list with estimates in January. And each committee goes through, as I mentioned. By our April workshop, the governing board will be looking at the entire list with recommendations from each committee on what to specifically analyze. Go down again to the overall financial plan. Now that's, again, the item that causes a lot of interest for all of us. The financial plan includes not just the capital, but the operating budget, the expense budget. These are the items that will drive the discussions of our dues rate for the next fiscal year. So Budget and Finance will get the first review of that operating budget expenses starting in February, is my understanding. That's the typical timing. And then each of the committees as well, Sports Pavilion and Golf, those are separate divisions. So they will also be looking at those divisional budgets as well soon thereafter. And all the committee recommendations on that financial plan overall, the operating budget, come back as well, end of March, start of April. So together, the governing board starts looking at all of these items in true analysis. We'll be looking at it throughout the year, but we really dig in by March, April timeframe. So that's all. Just wanted to make sure, since there was some confusion in the way our policies are written, some of the accompanying process diagrams are maybe a little bit hard to discern, but this is the reality of our procedure for budgeting. And Cliff, did I miss or misstate anything critical here?
No, very well said. The only thing I'll add is that we do individual presentations on capital items that are 50,000 and greater. So those get actual individual presentations in those capital budget meetings that we have at various committees. But well said, and yeah, we're in the thick of it right now.
Okay, thank you, President Novello and Mr. Swan. And just to be fair, do we have any comments from our relatively new treasurer who just now got the full burden put on her?
No, we understand what our job is, and the Budget and Finance Committee have been joining the Properties Committee and doing the walkthroughs on Tuesday mornings. Thank goodness John wakes up at 7 and not 6:30 like Kay did. So we're able to participate, and we see exactly what needs to be done. So thank you, John.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions from the board? Any questions from our members? Nothing online? Moving to our last item of business, 3.08. This, in fact, is where our reserve money is spent. So I'll turn this over to Director Piaskowski, who will give us an update on Lizard Acres grand reopening.
I'm going to defer that comment to Cliff.
And I'm going to call Mr. Carl Wilhelm up to the microphone, and he will. This has been a game time decision. This has been a game time decision, and we are going to get the latest and greatest right here, right now, from Mr. Wilhelm.
Drum roll.
It's funny. I'm just typing General Manager Erno about a opportunity that was given to us this morning. So I was finally able to get a hold of a environmental service inspector last night. They agreed that they would come out and give us an inspection. So Russ and I have a reasonable list of items to take care of at the pub. And she saw our facilities in great detail and gave us an operational pass to open on the 14th. I, however, still have one more hurdle with the planning and development side to get that final finished by Monday, and so everything's moving in the right direction. Best I can give you right now.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wilhelm. Any additional questions? or
So
comments?
we really don't know yet. But we will on the morning of the 14th.
I have met every item except for one electrical thing that I believe is happening,
Okay.
over the weekend, and we'll pass on Monday, but,
Okay,
so I'm gonna say plan for the 14th, that we will be operational.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Carl, this is Christine speaking from on high.
Hi.
How will the rec centers let our residents know? Will you be announcing this on social media, in email? How will they know that the opening is either on or off, since it's going to be a game time decision?
Social media, posters, and the TVs. So our asterisk that said, please stand by, will be converted to a go on social media and our TVs.
Excellent. We will all keep our fingers crossed for that clearance. Thank you. And thank you, Director Piaskowski. I had no intention of throwing you under the bus there for that update, but it's been something that you're completely unaware, uninvolved in the approvals process. We were hoping that by now it would be a nice announcement, but let's hope for the best. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Wilhelm, thank you very much. And for those that have ever dealt with the county and getting permits to run a project, or in this case, to get permits to actually occupy the spaces, they can understand the frustration that he's gone through over the past months. So thank you. That brings us to the end of our business. Any additional comments from, I thought I had asked that, and we had nothing online. So any additional comments from any of the directors?
I'm Sports Path, and on our Thursday meeting, we had the Pavilion Grill come and make a little presentation to everybody. So I am hoping that our residents go and eat there and enjoy a little lunch or dinner or breakfast. The other thing is I would like to see if we could they do catering, and I'm not too sure our clubs know that. So I would like to see if we get them in front of the charter club. So the presidents would know that if they're having a little get-together that they can. We, as a tennis club, will be using them on November 11th for our dinner, so just a FYI. And they said that they can cater up to 250 people, so.
Anyone else with questions, comments? Director Schlemmer.
Thank you. In the spirit of Lizard Acres reopening, I just want to give a little bit of tidbit of history of how the Lizard Acres name came about. And it began in 1947. So most people think it dates back much longer than that, but it's actually 1947. Two gentlemen, Wetzel and Spurlock, decided to create a cattle operation. And they acquired a parcel of land that begins about where Grand and Dysart come together and then comprises the first 1,700 acres of Sun City West today. When they came out to look at the land, they evaluated it, and Spurlock is credited as saying, "Jumpin' Jehoshaphat, this land is worth nothing more than growing lizards," and hence the name Lizard Acres. The name does live on in the name of the pub, but it also lives on because it is still a rail marker stop, and you'll see the sign across from Walmart on Grand Avenue, and that is where the rail would stop to offload and unload hundreds and thousands of heads of cattle. And if you come to the grand opening, you may hear me give you more history, but that is how Lizard Acres got its name. The next item I do want to mention is I'm on Prides, as is Rudy, and I don't know if other members of the board work with Prides. We're back to fall. Our seasonal residents are coming back. And I bring this up because last Saturday, we had an issue with this on one of our teams, the team I was on. Our Prides workers are out on Saturday morning early. They are working along the roads. Most of the roads are blocked off with cones that the county puts out, but we have some roads like Deer Valley where we're working along the shoulders. Please, folks, if you do see the Prides teams out working, please do slow down and do move over to the left side. Get out of that right lane. We're working along the curbing and things like that. We do try to stay out of the roads, but any help you can get, and I know everybody in this room does great, but please, mention to your neighbors or whatever. When you see those fine folks from Pride's out there cleaning up our community, let's give them a right lane to be able to work in. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. President Novello, any closing comments?
Two things. First of all, many thanks to you, Vice President Grom, for stepping in for me today, and thank you to the board and the community for your support. I expect to be, I'm technically on my feet now, but I expect to be more present again, as I usually am next week. So I look forward to that and look forward to hopefully celebrating the grand opening. Fingers crossed there, Carl and team. It will be great to see the grand opening occur. So I'll see you all there. The other item, I just wanted to ensure, sometimes it can be hard to see some of the comments made on YouTube. There are 2 more comments that have not been addressed yet on YouTube. I'm happy to read them if they're not showing up on Director Forsey's laptop.
Yeah, please go ahead and read them. They are not showing up for us.
I'll tell you, I don't know why. I seem to have the magic laptop for finding these, but nonetheless. Resident Gary Bach, whose number has already been read out, mentioned, you mentioned estimates in the budget process. So how are those made and when are the final costs determined? I believe we mentioned that a little bit earlier or glossed over it, Gary, but the estimates are made by the by the capital projects manager and by the entire team together with Stephen Erno under his leadership. The initial round of costs, if you will, the estimates will be presented back in January. Also, the same resident, Gary Bach, wanted to know the status of replacing the capital projects manager. So I do believe we have an update on that, if that can be shared. Cliff, I'm not sure if you can pass that on.
Yes, we have hired someone to take on that role, and he will be starting on November 3rd, I believe. And Carl will, as graciously said that he will help onboard him so we can get him up to speed as soon as possible. But November 3rd is when our new projects manager will be starting.
Okay, thank you very much. Our general manager is not here today, but our CFO, Mr. Swan, any closing comments?
No comments.
Okay. Anyone in the audience? No comments? We're not seeing anything more online. So with that in mind, our next workshop meeting will be on November 7th, 9 a.m. right here. And at 10:07, this meeting is adjourned.